First off, let me just go over some of the stuff in our new adventure. This is actually, I have it here. This is the beast right here. Okay.
Woo!
You have to understand how much time I've spent on this motherfucker. So this is what it came with. There's two books full of text and nothing else. And here are just a couple of notes that I've taken, two full pages of notes. This is a big outline that I've tried to make for myself. It's like 1/3 of what I need to outline in this module. Here's some more crap. Here's some more, and here's some monsters that I downloaded that we're not even going to use. All right, so this, and there's some maps and whatever. So as you can imagine, this is going to be a huge adventure, and I don't know how long it's going to take for us to finish it. It depends on our pacing. I think that with a reasonable assumption, 20 sessions. I think that depending on, of course, how you want to take it. Now, I want to get an opinion of when we played Lost Mine of Phandelver. Do you think it was linear or do you think it was sandboxy, in your opinion?
It was nice and sandboxy.
Yeah, yeah.
You let me fool around enough. I was happy.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you let me fool around enough, so I found it pretty sandboxy.
Yep, I have to agree. I mean, there were clear objectives.
Yeah.
We pretty much could. Seems like we
Okay.
could pretty much go where we wanted when we wanted.
If you think Lost Mine of Phandelver was sandboxy, this is going to be like a beach. So the tone of this campaign is very different. This campaign, you show up, you don't know what you can do, you don't know what you're supposed to do, and you can do anything you want. You can go to any one of these 10 towns you want. There's content for every place you can go in Icewind Dale. However, there's a clear objective present, meaning that there's a countdown. You miss the countdown, the bad guys are going to win, and towns are going to get destroyed. Monsters are going to show up. Bad stuff is going to happen. You don't know exactly what the bad stuff is, but it's clear that the bad things are happening all around you, and you have to intervene. So the way that this module is written is that this is what happens if the party does not intervene. This is what happens on this date if the party does not intervene, and so on and so forth. So let's say you show up in Icewind Dale and you're like, I don't want to get involved in any of this. I'm just going to sleep in a tavern for 2 months. What happens is it's going to be some bad consequences, like some catastrophic things are going to happen. So I'm assuming that your characters, being who they are going to get involved in a lot of different stuff. The next point. Oh, hey, Abernathy. The next point I think we really have to underline is that personal character stories. The last module, I went by the book. I only added a little bit of a flavor, a little sprinkle of here and there of personal stories, like Castanar's story, a little bit of like Schmigel's story, but I wasn't able to get into it the way I really want to. I want this module to be deeply character focused.
Are we turning it into drama?
Yeah, I want the story to be about your characters, pretty much. The main plot is literally about your characters. I mean, that's what I'm going for, and I will make major changes to the story itself just to wrap it around your character stories. Of course, I can't do that for 5 different players all at the same time, so there's spotlights on and off. But I'm hoping to involve your characters as much as possible. Therefore, your characters reasonably are going to act. They're not going to sit there and watch the town burn for 2 months. The next thing I want to go over is in terms of adding any new rules with all the DMG stuff, no flanking. I reviewed the flanking rules. I looked at all the forums. I looked at all the variations of flanking. There's just no way for us to do flanking without putting the grid back. And I think that's like, I'd rather not put the grid back. I don't know if anybody really loves the grid so much.
It's like 1 step forward, 2 step back.
Yeah,
I can do with or without it. Don't matter.
the grid is, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but number one is it makes it harder for me to build maps when I have to grid.
Mm-hmm.
These maps, no matter where you find the maps, there's always something weird going on when you try to put the map and line it up to Roll20 grid. There's always some issues going on. The maps have their own grids on them, and it's a pain. On top of that, when we are gridding, we get more tactical. When we get more tactical, we are sacrificing a little bit of the being able to focus on a imaginative role-playing atmosphere. We're going towards 4th edition, which I don't think 4th edition's bad. Trust me, I love 4th edition, but we are sacrificing that a little bit. So that's why I'm saying no flanking, no gridding. We're going to continue the way we were before with the maps. Okay? So a couple of new rules. Because of the tone of this adventure, you guys are in the frozen Arctic wasteland of Icewind Dale. Your only real place of refuge are the 10 towns. If you go out into the middle of the wilderness, you will die, pretty much, because it's so hostile. And to try to reinforce this gritty, hostile feeling, I'm going to implement slow natural healing. Modified, not full slow natural healing. The way they describe in the DMG is awful, where you have to spend 2 weeks to do a full heal. That doesn't make sense in our game, because you don't have 2 weeks to sleep in an inn.
Besides which, you have a ranger.
So instead, it'll be a modified version. If you go out into the wilderness, if you decide to go into a dungeon or a crypt or some cave, and you decide to take a short rest, you will not get any hit points from hit dice. If you do a long rest in a cave, it's dangerous, but you can roll hit dice. Okay. You cannot get any form of get all your stuff back healing in the wilderness.
Can I still do my arcane recovery?
Yes, it doesn't apply to abilities. This only applies to health. If you go out in the wilderness and you find that there is a very friendly ranger with a hut out in the wilderness, and he builds a fire and a camp and he cooks you soup, yes, you can do that full healing. If you choose to sleep in an inn, you get full healing. That just completely makes sense. You go to an inn, there's healing, there's food available, there's comforts available. It's reasonable. You sleep a night in an inn, you get everything back. Okay? But if you go out into the wilderness, this does not apply, and you have to do a long rest in order to roll hit dice. A short rest, 1 hour, 1 hour freezing out in a tundra is not going to give you hit points. That's the whole idea. To accommodate for this, I understand I'm not going to hit you with monsters that are going to deplete you to like 1 hit point, encounter after encounter. So just I'm going to try to accommodate this with the difficulty of the monsters. Death rules. Death is permanent. You guys do not have a level 9 cleric. You guys do not have raised dead. If you want to raise somebody from the dead, you have to follow the rules of raised dead. A body and its soul will depart within 3 days. If you can get that body to a cleric that can cast raised dead, the price is $3,000. No persuasion to drop it. $3,000 gold to raise a character from death. So you just don't want to die. But as we know, it's not easy to die in 5th edition, so don't worry about that unless you're really kind of pushing it. The madness.
But you can fumble on a death roll, so remember that.
Yes. But the whole idea is if you go unconscious, your party members, you're relying on your party members to come stabilize you or do something for you. Okay. That's what makes it a big safety net from dying.
Yeah, what I'm saying is don't just wait till after the first death roll to help everybody out.
I mean, I would not worry about that 1 hit to take off your maximum hit points. I'm not sure there's too many monsters in the game of your appropriate level that can hit you that hard. There may be, but it would be like a rare thing to face a monster like that. It would be like facing an ancient red dragon to hit you.
Hint, clerics. Use the gentle repose.
Yeah.
Keep the gentle repose handy. First level spell.
You guys currently don't have a cleric class. You guys do not have a rogue class in your party, just to remind you. A madness. So I think that at a certain point in the game, we're going to try out some of these madness mechanics. Madness saves are against charisma, not wisdom. Just to let you know, because I was reviewing the book and I was reviewing some things people posted online. This is for two reasons. Number one, charisma is a dump stat traditionally. People who don't need charisma, they just let it fly at 6 and they don't care about it. So it makes charisma a little bit more important. The second is that wisdom already is a save for so many mind affecting spells that, you know, it's good to spread it out a little bit. If you happen to have a charisma proficiency, that's going to help as well. And third is that, you know, if you read some of the traditional descriptions of charisma, charisma is not just how good looking you are and how well you're able to seduce people and stuff, but it also refers to your
Let's hear the dog.
yeah, your own sense of
my wisdom and charisma
yeah.
stats then.
your
I've
own.
got 13 charisma now.
How'd you get 13? Oh, you restat your character.
I switched my wisdom and
Okay.
charisma,
Yeah.
and I adjusted my dexterity a little bit.
Your charisma also refers to your own sense of self, I guess. Your own force of will, your own ability to compose and hold yourself. I mean, it's a little abstract, but it does apply to insanity. And actually, in the book, they do recommend using charisma as a safe against insanity. This is when insanity does become relevant. It may or may not. It depends on what you guys do in the game. Experience. So in order to simplify experience, because I don't want you guys to open your character sheets every 10 minutes to give yourself experience. There's quest experience. So you complete a quest, you get all the experience for the quest. You don't get experience after every single monster you kill, because that's just very cumbersome. And I really actually noticed that a lot of you are forgetting to give yourself experience on and
I
off.
noticed
So
that too.
yeah, so we're a little bit
Plus the
off.
gold.
Exactly. So let's just consolidate this and give experience when you complete quests. So you get a lump sum of experience. The quest is go over to this cave, go inside the cave, slay the dragon. You go. Let's say you go over to the cave, you beat the kobolds at the head of the cave. You do this, you do that. You're able to charm the dragon. All the experience is given at the end. They just calculate it along the way. So I don't stop the game and say, listen, take 20 experience. There's an exception to this, is that if you roll random encounters, there's no way to figure that out unless, well, I mean, I could add the random encounter experience. I'll think about that. Maybe I'll just add the random encounter experience to whatever quest you're on.
That makes a lot of sense doing it that way.
Yeah.
Keeping overall.
Because there's no such thing as a sandbox without true random encounters, and we got to have those. So there's going to be random encounters. There's going to be idea of how far you're walking into the snow, and your travel distance, and how far you can reasonably travel, and whether or not you're going to freeze. Whether or not you hit a snowstorm or something like that, or an avalanche. Those are all things that are very important if we really create a kind of an atmospheric, gritty kind of game. And random encounters is part of that. I just don't want them to be so frequent that you're playing Final Fantasy kind of walking around in a circle so you can get more monsters to kill. But I don't think that's going to happen. The random encounters are not going to be that frequent. But some of them are going to be bad. You know, I'm not beyond putting like a white dragon in a random encounter if you roll that number. It's just that you just have to have the sense to run away from it and not try to kill it. Or else we're going to go back to what I was talking about with death rules.
One thing that would help with that is to make sure you guys roll your history checks when we do encounters, so we get a little maybe insight into whether we should run or not.
Yeah. But, I mean, some things are going to be obvious. You know, an ancient white dragon flies down at you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a genius to know.
I tend to play that in character and only do checks if it's reasonable that my character would have some sort
Your
of
character seeing an ancient white dragon flying from in the sky wouldn't need to do a check to know that this thing is going to kill us.
Yeah.
If it's a monster you've never seen before, then you may be thinking about this. So the next point I want to talk about is skill checks. Skill checks have always been a frustration for me in this game. There's a couple of reasons. Number one is check spamming. I don't know if you know what that is. Let's say you guys walk into a room. Inside the room there's a table, and on the table there is a potion. So let's say Schmigel walks over, looks at the potion. He does a history check. He doesn't know what that potion is. Everybody else is going to roll a history check after that. Somebody's going to get a 20. and it makes the check futile.
Yeah.
Likewise,
And again,
likewise, you find a powerful magical scroll. The doctor happens to roll a 1, and then Schmigel's like, "Oh, let me take a look at that." And for some reason, he crits his Arcana check, which is -2, but it's still an 18. And he knows what it is when the doctor doesn't. That makes no sense, right? So,
The most relevant person should be the one doing the checks.
well, not no. Well, this is what I'm gonna do. There are still gonna be a lot of skill checks, just like there always is. But there are certain things in the game which you don't skill check. For instance, for an example, you guys may encounter a big door. The door is rusted shut and is solid iron. No skill check to kick the door open. You're just not going to push the door open. I'm just going to say, if you have a strength above 17, you can push this door open. This is a traditional way of doing things, and I'm going to add that into certain types of skill challenges. Likewise, another thing is you are out in the wilderness and you see this weird creature, this weird elk creature. I'm not gonna, it's not like everybody's gonna roll a nature check and then whoever, if you have proficiency in nature, you know what this is. So I'm gonna mix that into skill
use
checks.
Use the passive checks a little bit more, basically. is what
Yeah,
you're doing.
some of it is passive checks, but some of it is just simply that you built your character, you invested a skill in nature, so you're proficient in nature, so you can do this. Because you invested this in. This reflects your character's makeup. This is not just because you rolled a dice and it was high. Because of the randomness of the skill checks, if let's say you're trying to kick the door in, and Schmigel happens to roll a 1, and he can't kick the door in, and all of a sudden the doctor rolls a crit, and the doctor kicks the door in, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And that happens a lot with these skill checks.
You know how I just as an option, the way I always handled that as a DM is that first person that does it takes a skill check. If anybody else decides they want to do it, it's just an assist, and they get the +2 or whatever it is to the original skill check, rather than 5 different people randomly deciding,
Yeah.
let me try it. Oh,
Well,
let me
what
try
I'm
it."
seeing is like not a lot of people are using the help on the skill checks.
Yeah, we only did that a couple times in that last.
John, you want a whole new character sheet? Don't you want to just alter the one you have now? I can make
Yeah,
you a
that's
new
fine.
one if
Just
you want.
duplicate it.
Well, if you want a whole new character sheet, do you want me to copy the one you have now, or do you want me to give you a
Yeah,
blank
just
one?
duplicate Nimbex.
Okay, I'll just copy that. And you should see a copy of Nimbex.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Do you guys have any comments for me? I mean, I want to hear some feedback. Anything, because any questions, comments?
What's your take on spell points?
I don't like it because it feels like mana. The Vancian spell system, although lots of people hate it, it's really just a characteristic D&D thing, and I like keeping that in the game. If you the spell points, it's just it's like, well, some people just I think they make it for people who they think they're too stupid to understand the Vancian magic system. I mean, it's I don't know. I can't tell you if the Vancian magic system is good or bad. It's just part of D&D. It's just like if you look at monks in D&D. Monks are from an Oriental kind of world. This D&D seems a lot more like medieval Europe with fantasy. What are monks doing there? I never understood that, but monks have been part of D&D since like first edition. It's just a part of the world, I can't have the world, I'm so used to it. It's just I think of monks when I think of D&D. So it's the same thing.
I could just see myself gain a ridiculous amount of flexibility with those spell points, though.
And that's why spell points were added as an option back in second edition, the Skills and Powers
Yeah.
rule books. It's just an option.
Like, remember?
Yeah, just because it is an option doesn't mean we should use it.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't mean I want to put laser gun. Like they write laser guns in the DMG. Do I want to give you guys laser guns in the Forgotten Realms? Well, absolutely not. It makes no sense.
We do have laser guns. They're called
Magic missile.
magic missiles. Yeah.
Scorching ray.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
The thing is, when my
Eldritch blast.
my whole take on it is I am a bit of a I care about the integrity of the world that I make because I'm such a story I'm a story focused kind of a DM. So if you care about the integrity of your world, then you're very defensive about weird stuff showing up in your weird world. I'm not even so comfortable with Dragonborn in the Dragonborn is something introduced in 4th edition in the Nentur Vale setting, which works fine for the Nentur Vale setting.
Exactly.
But in the Forgotten Realms, it's just weird. It's just like you don't. There's no history of this race, and all of a sudden, after the Sundering, these Dragonborn are walking all over the place.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tieflings,
they're
yeah.
exactly world specific. Same thing with Thri-kreen for the Dark
Yeah.
Sun or anything.
Yeah,
else.
like people who want to play Warforged and Tieflings. It took me a long time to even accept. But Tieflings, I think,
at least tieflings
yeah.
have their history in the Forgotten Realms among other places.
And
so I
they've-
can accept those.
They've been written into the canon. I think there's a famous book where the Tiefling is the main character. So I'm okay with Tieflings now. I'm okay with Tieflings, but Dragonborn, they still got to sell me on it. They got to really introduce this race to the world.
They gotta write a book first.
And we are 5th level, right? Beginning 5th.
Oh, Edwin says they are actually in one of the 3.5 supplements on Races of the Dragon.
Yeah, and that came about because
Yeah.
they got written into one of the Harper. I think it was a Harper series
Yeah.
book where the tieflings featured.
But certainly, I don't see them walking around the Sword Coast and Icewind Dale all the time, just part of a neutral good party. I mean, like Drow kind of hanging out in the party doesn't make sense in the Forgotten Realms, unless you are Drizzt himself. It kind of it's a little bit off. I mean, I'm not opposed to it though, but it's a little off. Okay, enough of that. Anything else? Please, I mean, this is this is your time to give me some feedback because from now on I'm probably going to squash it. So please give me some feedback, give me some complaints or something.
Now, I already asked the questions I had earlier.
Yeah.
Like I said, everything. It's your world. We just live in it.
Well, I actually really wanted to do Baldur's Gate because I'm big on Baldur's Gate because Baldur's Gate was my introduction to D&D in general.
Oh.
I have such a strong love for it, but you guys chose Icewind Dale, and I'm not opposed to Icewind Dale either.
Known.
No, I didn't want to influence your decision by my preferences. I wanted you to choose what you want to play.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate, that module is not much better than this one, so it's not like it would.
And the main
Would've made
reason
a-
I went with Icewind Dale, I mean, I like both settings. Assuming I was going to stick with this character
Yeah.
fits much better into Icewind Dale setting than in a Baldur's Gate setting, which was why my primary vote. Not to say if we had selected Baldur's Gate, I would have certainly
Makes sense.
probably gotten a character that fit into the setting.
I'll make it clear there is no Drizzt in this game. Just in case anybody was expecting or had.
Darn. And I thought I was going to go meet him.
I mean, I don't know who. I've never seen Drizzt played well in any game I've ever seen Drizzt appear in on tabletop. In my opinion, he really is a character that just belongs in the book.
Yeah.
However, the story, Drizzt's story and the Crystal Shard is absolutely relevant to this campaign, and this is why this is actually named. This is named after the Crystal Shard. You will see effects of what has happened in Drizzt's adventures that are still relevant in Icewind Dale, and that's the whole idea. The things that has happened that Drizzt has directly affected is still going to be prevalent in Icewind Dale.
Okay. So Kelvin's Cairn is still collapsed.
Kelvin's Cairn is still collapsed. There's still barbarians in Icewind Dale. There's still dwarves in Icewind Dale. The whole spiel. Okay.
I thought the dwarves all moved out when Kelvin's Cairn collapsed.
Well,
they open
half of them followed Brunner Battlehammer to Mithril Hall,
Yeah.
but I think half of them stayed back
Okay.
and rebuilt the mines over there. And you guys certainly can go visit the dwarves. You can visit the barbarians. It's a pretty open world, so there's a lot of things you can do. On top of this, I want you to know that I have mixed in an old school D&D module into this campaign. You may or may not go to it depending on the decisions you make in the game. But this is one of the most popular modules that one of the like the top 5 modules that I didn't see many people doing, so I really wanted to play it. It's like a mini adventure surrounded by within this campaign. So you guys can go visit if you happen to get there. Okay. Anything else before we continue?
How about our new guy?
How much time do we have between when we?
Oh, I'm
ended-
saving the new guy for the end.
Oh,
How much time do we have between when we ended the last adventure to where we actually decide to start out?
A week and a half, and I'm just about to go over that.
Okay, so I'll have time to have gone back home to my mentor and maybe get a new quest up to say this.
You do. Actually, I was going to bring you right to that after we finished.
Okay.
Okay.
To travel.
Let me get my time. So this is my calendar, just so I can have stuff. I can have everything set up in my head. Let me see. Okay. We are in Eliant, which is equivalent to September. The year is 1485 Dale Reckoning DR. This is approximately 100 and maybe 15 years after the events of the Crystal Shard. Anybody has most of us read the Crystal Shard, or how many?
Look, I haven't read it yet.
How many have read the Crystal Shard?
Not
Many
yet.
times.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. What about you, Dan?
History checks?
I haven't read it yet.
You haven't read it yet, and what about you, John? If you read
No, I
Crystal?
haven't read it.
Okay, you don't need to have read it to know to know enough to play the game.
If
So
it
this
would be helpful, I'll certainly go read it.
Does anyone need a copy?
I would happily let you guys learn about the events of the Crystal Shard in the game from other NPCs and things like that. I've read the Crystal Shard. I know the story, and I can kind of let things unfold a little bit at a time if you're interested in what has happened in the past. It's not, you don't have to know what happened to be able to play this
No,
game.
I'm just saying, would it add color to the adventure?
Absolutely, because you play the adventure, you're in this world, and you're captivated by this world. But if you already have an impression of this world in your head from reading the book, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So you really feel like you're in this world, and you already have an impression of the world when you read the book. So it helps you imagine the world when your character goes there. Not that it's not going to be fun if you haven't read the book, I don't think.
Absolutely.
So, we guys, at this point, you guys have finished The Lost Mine of Phandelver. That took place approximately the beginning of September, Elent, around the 8th of Elent. This is about a week and a half later. This is about the 15th of Elent. Okay, so a couple of days have passed. Actually, it's less than a week. And let's at this point, let's go over each of your characters. Who wants to go first?
I think I should go first in case I have to leave in between something.
Yep.
Okay,
You guys can hear me?
if you want to go first, I'd like you to roll initiative. I know you wanted to do the chase scene. Since we weren't able to do it before, why don't we try this chase mechanic? See if it works.
Oh.
Oh, do I have to re-roll then?
What did you roll before? 6?
I rolled a 6.
I'll put you in. I'll put you in for a 6.
That means I'm probably last. But I wanted to ask before, how long does it take for us to travel from Neverwinter to when we start Icewind Dale stuff?
You'll find that out soon.
Okay. Because there's one spell that I might add but it's only if we have at least a month.
You don't have a month.
Between the end of whatever we're doing and when we start.
I don't think you have that much time. A month is a long time.
You guys hear that?
Okay, Doctor, you are in Neverwinter. You guys have returned to Neverwinter, and ever since you've returned, Schmigel has been getting all the attention, leaving you just in fear because you are being persecuted. There are guards after you. The Lady Elvira is offering 7,000 gold for your capture.
Technically, I'm engaged now.
You are engaged to whom?
That redhead at the bar. Because remember, she said she'd marry me if I found the mines of Phandelver?
Yeah,
Right.
but how do you know she holds to her word?
Anyways, I was working on that.
You,
Oh,
well,
and then there's
you,
the-
you,
That's
you,
how the campaign
you
is.
barely had any time to even go find her after coming back to Neverwinter, because the minute you came back, there's just been thug after you. At first, you're able to go and scare the thugs away, use your magic, dispatch them, fry them, but there were just so many. And then once you scare off a band of thugs, just yet another band comes. They're all after the money that's ransomed on your head. Now, after a while, after the thugs came after you, soon thereafter, you pretty much had town guards coming after you, because she raised a formal complaint against you, and you are to be brought in for imprisonment for theft of her money. So you have been trying really hard to lay low these last couple of days.
Our in with Lord Schmigel hasn't negated any of that?
Lord Schmigel he's tried. Well, I don't know if he's tried. Have you tried?
I tried a little. I mean,
He half-heartedly.
like talking that way in front of like General Knox and like
Yes.
the
So
kind of influence he kind of brought around the places. How do I do it?
he
You didn't leave me much room, Doctor. You didn't leave me much room.
Anyways, you can assume that I've been seducing more rich noble ladies.
You've
and have
been doing
making more enemies.
you've been doing the best you can, but you've gotten yourself a bad reputation in town, and not many people are
I
talking to
can't
you.
imagine that.
Even with the sky
Unfortunately, with all the debacles going on before, you found it really hard. It's really, you realize it's time to hit another town. This town is pretty spent for you. However, after a couple of days, you did receive a letter from Alestra, saying that she wanted to speak to you, and she wanted to meet you somewhere in town, and that she had something very important to discuss with you. So you meet her down near the Arcane Tower, the Cloak Tower of Neverwinter is its Arcane Tower. And you have to really sneak around town so nobody sees you. You probably have to put on a disguise or use some magic. And you find her hiding in an alleyway. She has a cloak on. And she comes over to you and she says, "You made quite a name for yourself, haven't you, Doctor?"
So I swagger up all with a big smile on my face. Well, haven't I always had a big name for myself? I did discover the mines of Phandelver after all.
You have. You've done a great deed in doing so, but how can you justify some of the other things that you've done?
Look at Schmigel's armor. If we hadn't gotten that, we would have been in trouble.
He said, the means by which you acquire powerful things are just as important as the ends of what you do with these powerful things. But I'm not here to lecture you. I have something very important to talk to you about. She says, do you remember what we had discussed when you had found the Banshee Agatha in Conneberry?
Yes, about the wizard.
The Banshee has given you a very vague direction into Icewind Dale, into finding this wizard book. She says, I think that it is really time for you to put these trivial things that you really don't suit your talents, put them aside, and go do something grand, don't you?
Yeah, this town has been getting a little dry after all. I was figuring on leaving it.
He says, "You certainly have broken my heart with what I've heard about this elderly widow, Elvira, but that's beside the point."
She's lying about everything. She just wanted me so badly, but I turned her down. And this is her retaliation.
This is one of the instances where I'm going to use your passive deception against her wisdom, and you fail. Her wisdom's pretty high, but anyway, listen. I understand that some people make mistakes. Why don't you prove it to? I want you to prove it not just to me, but to our order, the Order of the Harpers, that you can rise to greatness, that you can really be what you are meant to be.
Well, I was gonna go after that spellbook anyways. It's we're supposed to head. I'm supposed to head north. Am I not?
She says, "Yes, but you need a direction." She says,
Do
"We."
you have information for
So
me?
yes, that is what I came to you about. She says, "You see, I was looking for an agent in Icewind Dale. We haven't had one in Icewind Dale for quite some time, for several decades, in fact, because Icewind Dale has been relatively quiet of any activity. There is an agent that previously was in Icewind Dale that I think may be able to help you." Oh, you're not saying anything?
Oh, very
Okay.
well. Tell me what information do you have? I was waiting for her to
says-
keep going.
If you travel to the town of Bryn Shander, which is, of course, the biggest town in Icewind Dale, and I don't know what is your familiarity with that region, you will find an agent by the name of Arun. He has lately, about 2 months ago, put in a request to us for silvered weapons, and I do not know why. His letters seem to be scrawled very quickly, and he offered no explanation. We, of course, have procured these silvered weapons, and I believe that if you were to take these silvered weapons to him, you can meet him in Icewind Dale, and he is the only Harper agent we have in Icewind Dale. If anybody knows where this legendary spellbook is, it would be Arun.
Okay.
But even after I had written him to say that I had procured his weapons, he has not written back. I do not know why. I do not know what treachery can be going on at this time.
That is interesting. I'll be sure to look into it. You said, what was the name of the town again?
Bryn Shander. It is the largest town in 10 towns of Icewind Dale. She further goes to say, "I don't know how you're going to find your way to Icewind Dale in the middle of Elent. All the caravans have stopped going there a month ago. But I'm sure you can be resourceful, and I'm sure you'll find a way."
I'm sure I will.
She says, and then you see her eyes open very wide, and she says, "I think some of your friends may have arrived. I think it is time for us to end this conversation." And she disappears, revealing that who you were talking to was actually a duplicate of her, and you don't know where her physical form actually is. As she disappears, 2 people come up behind the alley. They're more thugs. And they yell out, "There he is! We're going to get paid today." And this is like the 4th group of thugs you've encountered today, coming after you since you've gone out.
How depleted are my spells?
At this time, let's say that you've had to use about half of your spells just to fend off some of the other thugs earlier on. The only safe place you know, and where you've been staying for the last couple of days, is, of course, Gundren Rockseeker's home, where Schmigel is. Do you want to try the chase mechanic, or do you want to just try to take these guys out?
I can probably just disappear. I think I'll try a chase mechanic. I'm gonna teleport to the top of a roof.
Okay.
And start running using the roofs.
Okay.
That's my highway. Thieves' Highway, after all.
That's not. You do so on your turn. So the thugs are about 30 feet away from you. Okay. at this time. They run up to until they get to about 30 feet away from you, and that is their turn. And now it's your turn.
Okay, so I'll just teleport onto the roofs and start running, using Misty Step.
Okay. If you teleport and then you run, you use an action for it, right?
Yep.
You have to use an action, so you get to run only your speed. You don't get to dash and run your double your speed.
But Misty Step's a bonus action.
Yeah, if it's a bonus action, then he could do that in a double run, right?
I think you can. Yeah, I think you can run 60 feet and Misty Step. Schmiggel's house is about 500 feet away.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Through the
onto
slums.
roofs.
Through the slums.
I'm on the roofs though, so
Okay, so you're running on the roofs. I need you to roll a d20. Let me play some better music. Let me play some chase music.
okay. Okay. 4.
With a 4, on the top of the roof, you encounter a maze of barrels, crates, and similar obstacles that stand in your way. Make an acrobatics check.
Okay, so I
And let me see. Also,
Can
what is your constitution modifier?
my constitution is 14, so +2.
Okay, you get 2 dash actions. So I can expend one of those points to do an additional dash action.
Okay. Can I throw barrels off the side of the roof to where the other thugs were?
Yes, but you have to slow down on the chase.
Okay, that's what I'll slow down with. I'll only use one movement action then, and when I get to some of the barrels, I'm just gonna roll them quickly over the edge to where they would most likely climb up.
Okay, so you roll down the barrels. Now it's the thug's turn. Since the
Do I
barrels
have
are rolling
for the rest of my movement action?
well, you have to do an acrobatics first just to make sure you don't collapse under the barrels. Unfortunately, you collapse, therefore you can't roll them. You collapse, you trip over a couple of crates and barrels and rags on the floor. Okay, it is the thug's turn. You are on top of the roof. The thugs have to find a way to get around to you. So they're going to use their complete movement action to walk around the building to get to the stairs on the building, and as they start dashing up the stairs to come after you. They expend their 60 feet, and I'm going to roll a complication for them. 9. An overzealous guard mistakes the thugs for someone else. The guard is going to make an opportunity attack on one of the thugs.
Oh, he is a thug, so he's getting the right person in the end.
That is a hit. So the guard stabs one of the thugs, and he goes, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" He is out of the chase. The second thug is still coming up the stairs after you. Now it's your turn.
Okay, so I guess I have to get up first.
Yeah, you have to.
Half your movement.
You have to spend half of one movement to get up.
Can I use Ray of Frost to make an icy patch on the top of the stairs?
If you want to try to do that, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to make you spend your entire turn sitting there and freezing the ice. But I'll let you do that, and the DC
Sure, why
will
not?
be your spellcasting DC.
Okay, sure, why not?
Okay, you spend your entire turn freezing the ice patch right down there, and that is your turn. The thug comes up. What is your spellcasting DC?
14.
14, and I'm gonna roll his dex against it. The thug falls. He
And
falls.
Does he fall all the way down the stairs?
He doesn't fall down the stairs. You know what? I'm gonna make another easier dex check. He's gonna catch himself on the railing if he succeeds in the DC 12. He rolled a 13. So he catches himself, but he's stopped there. He can't do any more this turn. His next turn, he's going to use his entire movement just to get across the slippery ice. Not one of his movements. Now it's your turn.
So I'm gonna dash to as far as I can get down the.
Well,
across the-
you're on the roof, so you dash to the edge of a roof, and then there's the next roof away is like 40 feet away. How are you going to get there?
Do I see anything? I'll do a perception check to see if I see something I can, like one of those lines that you can just swing down.
Sure.
Perception.
Right below you is an awning, and you believe that if you drop down, you can safely, it'll break your fall.
Okay, so I'll jump down into that.
Okay. You jump down into awning. You dash as far as you could. You jump down to the awning. I'll say that that's part of one movement. You can run another 30 feet if you want.
Do I have my action
Uh,
instead of dashing?
no, because you use your action to jump down. You looked around. You looked down, and then you jumped down.
Okay. So, okay, then I'll dash to some shadows.
Okay. It's the thug's turn. That thug on a roof is coming after you. You can hear him yelling from the roof, and then all of a sudden, two more thugs come out of the side alley. They are approximately 60 feet behind you.
They see me? Okay.
They see you. These guys were hiding and waiting to ambush you. It's your
Okay.
turn.
So I'm gonna run into the nearest alley, darkest alley, and I'm gonna run as far down, and I'm gonna try and do a hide
Okay.
behind some obstacles. I'll look for
You-
a plausible.
And you do know Schmigel's house is maybe 400 feet away in the Black Lakes district.
Okay.
I'm going to roll perception for them against your hide because they're actively looking for you.
Okay, I'll do a stealth check then.
I got to show you what I rolled. Oh. Ah, man, I can't show you with my camera. It was a crit.
Oh.
They critted, so they continue to see you. So you crouch down and you hide. You're about 30 feet up. However, they're still coming after you. They come up 60 feet. I'm going to roll a complication for them. 11. No complication if you roll above a 10. So they are right on you. They're literally maybe almost 10 feet away. You can see them very angrily looking at you. They are armed with scimitars.
Ooh.
Somebody's echoing. I don't know who it is. Is it you?
Probably me.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay, I guess I'm gonna dash. I'm gonna use one of my Constitution modifiers to do an extra dash.
That's 90 feet of movement.
Okay.
Okay, you do 90 feet of movement. Roll a complication, D20. You are about 100 feet closer to Schmigel's place. A 5. The ground beneath your feet is slippery with rain, spilled oil, or some other disgusting liquid. Make a dexterity saving throw.
Empty chamber pot.
Empty chamber pot seems appropriate.
It is Black Lake slums, right?
Oh yeah.
Let's see, dex save.
There's an old couple looking outside going like, "Hey, look, the show's on!"
I'm sorry. That is a critical fail. That is so critical it deserves to have a video. Okay, so you fall down prone. You're prone. These guys run up 60 feet. They're 30 feet behind you. That's their turn. I'm going to roll a complication for them. They rolled a 10. You are forced to make a sharp turn and avoid colliding with something impassable. Like there's somebody holding a mirrored glass just walking across. If you move 20 feet or more on your turn, the guard takes... Make a DC dexterity saving throw to navigate this turn. On a failed save, you collide with something really hard. They failed. So one of them crashes into glass, and you can see that he's all cut up, and he falls on the ground, and he screams, and he stops chasing you. There's only one guard chasing you now.
Okay. I'm gonna fire a ray of frost at him.
You're still prone.
Okay, I'm gonna get up. Oh wait, was it oil that I slipped on?
Yeah.
It was oil?
Let's say it was.
Okay, oil's flammable. I'm gonna like toss. I probably have like a lantern somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna light it and just toss it onto the oil.
If you do that, it's gonna take your entire action.
Okay, fine. I'm just gonna use burning hands then. I'm just gonna light it.
Okay.
Everything on fire.
You light the oil on fire. What else are you gonna do on your turn?
And then I'm gonna run.
Okay, you run additional 30 feet. It's the thug's
And I use my
turn.
constitution. No, I'll say my constitution.
Okay. There's only one thug chasing you now. It's the thug's turn. He runs up to the fire. He's going to roll. He's going to roll a dex to try to avoid stepping in the fire and getting burnt. The thug runs through the fire and he's on fire. He is still 30 feet behind you, but he is on fire, and you can see he's taking some damage.
Okay,
your turn.
I'll just keep running.
There's nothing worse than a pursuing thug on fire.
I want a complication in your next 60 feet. No complication on a crit. The thug is going to continue to chase you. Hold on, let me roll some more damage. He's burning. He's screaming. He's not sure if he's chasing you or just running in general. Okay, he's burning pretty badly. He's going to dash 60. He's going to run 60 feet. He's going to expend one of his Constitution points to make it up to you. So he is right on your back at this point. He does not have enough action to attack, though.
Okay, I'm gonna use shocking grasp to put him down.
Okay. You can roll a shocking grasp. Unfortunately, you're kind of scared to touch this burning guy.
Okay, as my bonus action, I'm gonna do another. Do I still have another second spell slot, theoretically? Okay.
No, shocking grasp is a cantrip. So
No,
if
but
you have a
I-
if you have a spell that's a bonus action, you can cast it.
I have Misty Step at second level. Do I have any left?
I'm gonna have to say you already used it earlier today to escape from another band of thugs. It's getting thick.
Okay. All right. So
He's right on you, but he may actually swing an opportunity attack on you if you continue to run.
Yeah, I'll run.
Okay, I'm gonna roll opportunity attack with disadvantage. He's on fire. I'm guessing a 4 doesn't hit, so keep going.
Nope. And I'm gonna use my Constitution modifier this time to get far.
Okay, you dash up 90 feet. Roll a complication. You are about 150 feet away from Schmiggel's house. You get to Schmiggel's house, they won't follow you there. They know it's Lord Ironbelly's house. 14, you get no complication. He sees that you're really getting to Ironbelly's house. He's going to chase you just the same using his Constitution. This is his last Constitution burst. He's going to also roll a complication. 7. You run into a brawl in progress. So he's chasing after you, and there's some other people fighting right next to him. He's
I'm
going to
probably
have
pushing
to...
them on my way by and start.
This is a rough neighborhood.
This is the slums.
Black Lake.
He's going to try a athletics to push his way through it. All right, he just pushes 3 people on the ground as he's pummeling after
Isn't
you.
he still on fire though?
He's still on fire, and I got to roll some fire damage. Okay, you can smell his skin burning at this point. He's like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get all that gold for myself.
Does he light half the slums on fire at the same time?
He's not lighting anything else on fire. I think the brawl that was in progress. I think they're kind of scared of him. They saw a flaming man coming after him.
I wanted them to chase after the thug chasing after the doctor.
It is your turn. After
And then have the doctor accused of setting the entire slums on fire.
That'd be good. I'd be good with that. Okay.
Great man sets whole slums on fire.
Okay. I guess I'll just dash the rest of the way. I guess, or as far as I can go.
are you using? Do you have any more constitutions to
Nope.
burst? You go 60 feet. If you run another turn, you're going to make it to Schmiggel's house.
Okay.
Roll a complication. 3. A large stained glass window or similar barrier blocks your path. Make a saving throw with strength.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go right after we finish this chase.
Oh, really? Is your characters up to date and everything?
I just have to do a couple more spells and then he is.
And I also need your present to pick a new character. So, all right. Do you want to end the chase so we can get do a character selection?
Here, we'll just end the chase now because I'm safe now, aren't I?
You're safe. He has dropped his wisdom to 8. So he's going to be big on casting his powerful spells. Let me see. Do I have a list of his spells? I'm going to have to ask him to declare his spells next game. As we know, I mean, I was going to talk about the doctor's role playing too, but he's not here, so we'll just have to move on to the next person.
Dimbex, you would like to go, or
Whoever would like to go.
So I'm Eldrin. Eldrin, Leaf Shade, half elf, monk wizard.
Okay.
And are we starting?
I have to add, now. I have to add elf ears to your portrait.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I'm not that good.
My focus is a knob that was used on our family pub door, the door of our family pub. We discovered that it was magical, and I was able to use that as my focus. So now it rests around my neck.
Where do you have a story of where your character came from? It's okay if you don't. That's fine.
No, I haven't gotten that far yet.
So you're splitting the classes between. I don't think you get proficiencies for both the elf and the wizard's classes. The saving proficiencies.
What does that mean?
You see, on your save proficiency, you checked off strength, dex, intelligence, and wisdom.
No, it's for monk and wizard.
Yeah, I think you have to stick to only the proficiencies of your original class, because in that case, you're getting a lot of save proficiencies.
Oh, I thought that was the part of multi-class. Okay.
It doesn't. Actually, I looked at this before, but it doesn't specify in the multi-classing table. But if you think about it, just sort of.
Yeah. No, I was. That was the.
Just imagine you take 3 classes and you can be proficient in every single save.
Yeah, but your ability scores won't reflect that. However you want to DM it, it's. I would stick with the way the characters stated.
How about this? You may choose one of the proficiencies of your secondary class. I think that's fair. It's a compromise in between.
We don't have to compromise. Okay, let me think about it. I'll figure out what I want.
Yeah, you're primarily a monk, so choose intelligence or wisdom, and
Yeah, I'll work.
we'll do it like that. So splitting your focus between a monk and a wizard. Let me see. I'm just looking at your stats. All right, so you put most of your points in dex and and intelligence as well, to be able to cast the spells and to be able to fight with the monks. What do you fight with?
I use a quarterstaff and a longbow as an elf.
Okay. Do you do dual wielding two-hand?
No.
You don't do that with this character?
Now, see, I didn't quite follow how I was attacking with doing multiple attacks with my short swords. I didn't follow that.
Well, one attack with his main hand, one attack with offhand.
Yeah, but the offhand is my unarmed attack. It's not a.
I thought you had
it's
two
safe as a monk.
you had 2 short swords.
Well, that's just
before.
because of the way we played the game.
Yeah.
I don't read how that was legal anywhere.
In doing what? Attacking with a.
Attacking with 2 short swords and then attacking with my unarmed attack.
you have to drop a short sword, I guess. If you want to
I
attack with the
didn't
short
catch
swords and then attack with, you'd have to probably drop. But I mean, I think dropping a weapon doesn't have to cost any sort of bonus action because it doesn't take any effort. You just drop it on the ground, I guess.
No,
I
I
mean-
wasn't even following how my extra attack is an unarmed attack. That's what I gain as a monk.
Does your extra attack have to be an unarmed attack, or does it
That's-
specify it can be
No,
any?
it states I get an extra one unarmed attack. At
Okay.
First and fifth level.
So in that case, if it says it has to be an unarmed attack, then it has to be an unarmed attack.
And that's
So, I mean, if you think of it maybe in realistic terms, you attack with your sword, you swipe with your other sword, and you hit with the butt of your sword with your hand or something like that. Or you kick. I think
Yeah,
kicking makes a lot of sense. You know, you're a monk, you do some Shaolin stuff. You do a spinning back kick. I don't know. I think other normal characters can't really kick proficiently, but a monk, you know, you can add your strength bonus and all that stuff. But if it specifies an unarmed attack, I don't see why you can't do an unarmed attack. You can do a body slam, a belly flop. I don't know.
okay. Well, I get an attack action, and
Yeah.
one attack action, I get one attack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's with my weapon, and I can choose multiple, attacking with two weapons.
If you attack with two weapons, that's that's an attack plus a bonus action for a second attack on offhand.
Right.
And then you get an extra attack on top of that, which if it specifies it has to be unarmed, then I suppose it's a kick.
That's at fifth level.
Yeah, at
I'm a
fifth
third
level I meant.
I'm a third level monk.
At third level, you get your attack, and you can also choose to do a bonus action offhand attack. The only downside is that you don't get your strength or dex modifier to your offhand attack.
Unless it's my unarmed strike.
No, your offhand, even if it's your unarmed strike, if your offhand attack is your unarmed strike, then you still don't get, because it specifies in the book that the offhand attack does not get the modifier.
Offhand, yeah, but this isn't an off. Okay.
It's still considered one, because otherwise you're making it illegal 2 attacks a turn. I think we need to reload. I think people are having a connection stuff.
Yeah, we're losing people, aren't we?
Let me reload.
Oh, but what if there's like a secret there's like a secret case in there? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'll go help. Look at trees, the economy.
Hello, anybody can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think we're having Roll20 issues.
Just wouldn't be a game without.
Oh my god. Should we go to Skype?
Hey, Ginger. But I deeply appreciate all your work.
Due to a network error.
I can't grab the charger. I can't grab it. Okay.
No! Hello?
Like, the computer and I are like having a hard time like adapting.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, we got echo again.
Oh, we got John in stereo.
I'm sorry about the echo. I have 2 instances. Yeah, Galen's having some connection farts. Okay, so I mean, so are we squared away with the attacks?
I guess so. So you're considering an unarmed strike as an offhand attack.
It can be an offhand attack.
I know, but that's what you're considering it as
Yes.
in the case of the monk ability, because that starts restricting. Okay.
No, no. So this is how it is. The offhand attack can be your main attack, or it can also be an offhand attack, depending on when you do it.
I understand. Yeah.
And as an the extra attack is not an offhand attack. That is like a main attack.
The flurry of blows is what you're saying, is a regular attack.
Yes. And also
Oh,
at fifth
okay.
level when you
Same
get
thing.
at fifth level when you get an extra attack, that's
No. I get an extra attack at second and fifth.
what is it flurry of blows second level?
Yes.
That is a full attack, not an offhand.
Right.
So you do put in a modifier.
Yeah. Okay.
Another thing I definitely want to know about your character, because I've been confused, is what is the jumping of your character? Because I know you're going to be doing a lot of jumping, and I've been getting confused because of the jumping rules are a little bit wonky in 5th edition. Let me turn to them.
They're very clear. Jumping distance is strength times 2 for my monk class.
Could you write down your jumping attributes on your character sheet, and then
I
we'll
don't have a strength modifier, so it's. Distance for strength is 10, so I could jump 20 feet.
so your monk doubles your jumping, right?
If I use a key.
Okay.
And then my high jump is 3 plus my strength modifier, which is 0, so it's 6 feet. I can jump 6 feet high without any assistance.
Okay.
I should buy a new axe.
At normal people, it's 3 plus their modifier.
All right. So your total distance jump, long jump, is 20 feet,
Right.
assuming you use a key point, and 10 feet if you don't use a key point.
Right.
Your upwards height jump is 6 feet.
Right.
And what if you use a key point? Is it the same?
It is 6 feet. It's 3 feet otherwise.
Okay, it's normally 3 feet, but it is
If I got
6
that
feet
right.
if you expend the key point.
Imbex had a strength modifier.
Okay,
Eldrin doesn't.
so you can't jump as high as he can. The only things when I get confused is, let's say you're on there's a ledge that is 10 feet away and 3 feet high, and then you're jumping. Can you grab onto the? That's just a headache.
Yeah, I know. You just have to use,
Okay. All right. So now I know. So if you're flying 20 feet in some random direction, I'm gonna say that's a little weird, unless you're using a key point.
Well, yeah, we were using the ogre or the troll, right,
Yeah.
for extra oomph.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even. The throwing stuff gets a little bit wonky too.
Well,
I'll try not to do that too much.
Yeah, we
That
were
was just in game.
I did it just once just for fun, but it seems like it's caught
Yeah.
on a bit. Okay. Anything else about what kind of spells are your character? What is your planned specialization in the monk? Is it shadow? Is it open
Divinate.
hand?
Oh, as a monk,
Yeah.
shadow of the shadow.
And you're planning to go more monk than wizard, or about equal monk wizard?
I don't know yet.
Okay. What is
Multiclassing? It's not a it's not necessarily a stronger class.
Sometimes it's a weaker class depending on how you build
Right,
it.
and that's why it's a
Yeah.
fine balance to try to figure that out. And that's why I'm.
Just as a note, and it's still going to be up to you, but on page 179 of the player's handbook, they have a thing that says each class gives proficiency in at least 2 saving throws. There's no class that gives proficiency in more than 2 saving throws, so I assume that that's written to allow multi-classing characters to
Yeah.
get that advantage.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you do get all 4 proficiencies from what it's
Right.
written?
Yeah. because that actually impacts the character quite a bit.
Because the character multi-classing is automatically taking a weakness of sorts. So
Correct.
that kind of balances out the weakness that they're taking of having a lower level class.
Well, sure, that makes
in
sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so I'm glad we solved that. So you have all the proficiencies of both saving proficiencies of both classes. I don't think you get. Do you get the skill proficiencies also?
Yes.
Yeah, because
You're multi-classing.
and if you take a look at the cleric that I made for the other campaign, I think I was skilled in like 11 different skills, or proficient in at least
Okay.
in like 11 different skills. So the multi-class isn't going to come up with too much
So
more.
do you have a plan on which specialization you're going to take as a wizard?
Yeah, divination. I already have it all worked out.
Okay, so you're going to be Shadow Monk, Divination Wizard.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So I will roll my portent rolls at the end of my long rest, and then use them during the day.
And what about your character kind of personality? What are you thinking? What is your character like?
Well, I feel a tremendous empathy towards pretty much all who suffer.
Oh,
So
I need a leader follower.
Well, do you have a deity? Or
No.
Okay.
No.
Would be Ilmater if he did.
I am very inquisitive and curious,
Okay.
and that's why I have a feeling the Doctor and I will get along well again. I am a hermit, so there was some event that happened that we need to flesh out that brought me into society.
Sure, I would be more than happy if you tell me what kind of story you want, and I'd be more than happy to work it in. What I want to do is I want to know your character so I can build stuff for
Right.
your character. You know what I mean?
Right. So we can develop that over time.
Like
My isolation gave me great insight into a great evil that only I can destroy. That was
Okay.
that was my bond.
Tell me where you want to take that, and I'd be more than happy to work this into the game itself.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. So we'll have
That's
to-
what I want to do. That's
Yeah.
what makes DMing meaningful for me.
I agree. Me too.
Okay.
And I don't know. My major flaw is that I like to keep secrets, even ones that might help us out if I reveal them.
Well, I think you know what would be helpful for me is if you give me
It's
some.
all on the character sheet.
Yeah, I'm reading it now. If you give me, I mean, because it's a little bit unusual for an elf to take a monastic oath. Most of them are humans. If you give me maybe just a very short paragraph about where you were born, how you grew up, what is the name of your
Right,
order.
right.
You
Yeah.
give me those names.
I
That's
haven't
all
gotten
I need. I can build this
I haven't gotten
game
that far.
around you.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Castanar gave me, and I that's more than enough for me to build his fate,
Right.
so to speak.
I had just finished the character creation process.
Yeah. So no, that's just what I'm saying. Down the line, just give me just the bare bones information. Where is your character from? And I don't even care if it's not in Forgotten Realms. It could be something you made up. It could be from Toho, you know, or what is it? It could be from Tokyo. I don't care. But as long as it has
I
some,
understand.
you know, it's something I can work with, and then once I have that information, I can slowly build everything around it. I can integrate it into the story. I can make it cross paths with other character stories.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is
So your alignment is lawful neutral.
haven't figured that out yet.
It seems
believe
lawful
so.
good if you say that you're empathetic towards people who suffer. That's why
Right.
that's what makes me think lawful good.
My ideals were I'm loyal to my friends, not any ideals. Oh no, that's a different one.
Lawful neutral is actually really hard to play.
Yeah, I
If
know.
you think about it.
I am trying to think about it and figure it out. So my ideal is I'm free thinking, curious. Oh, inquiry and curiosity are the pillars of progress, and that was a chaotic ideal. So I'm kind of wondering how they're aligning ideals with alignment in fifth edition.
Actually,
It's very it's a very loose.
honestly, I would rather just you just start role playing, and then later on we figure out what your alignment is. For instance, the doctor is listed as chaotic good, but I'm pretty certain he's chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
So I'm just not accepting chaotic good as an alignment for him just because of the way he acts. So I think we can leave it open until you role play your character, and we'll see how things are going.
Right.
And I'm okay with your character formerly being Nimbex and still going through the party, and now it's just now it's an elf, because Nimbex never really took down his hood to show anybody that he was not a human.
You know, his personality trait was he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know you had such pointy ears.
I just had them folded down most of the time. Here they are. They're let loose now.
But I mean, just to point out, it's a bit unusual for elves to be in the monastic orders.
Oh, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. Elves are they're very isolationist, self-segregating, reclusive. To join a different self-segregating, reclusive order.
There are two types of high elves in the Forgotten Realms. One is the typical snooty.
Yeah.
We are the superior race elves, and there's this other elf race called the Moon Elves, which is what I am. Much more friendly, interacts with society much more. They don't have that superiority mentality. That's in the player's handbook.
Yep.
And that's the one I'm going to be playing. I'm the moon elf.
The doctor is, I guess, the other high elf.
Yes,
Yeah,
the doctor is the doctor is.
But I mean, I think he's playing an immature character that really hasn't come into his own yet at this point.
Absolutely.
I think he's very young for an elf, so it's sort of like an adolescent, growing pains kind of elf, I guess. We'll see where his character goes. I think that he did tell me before that he's interested in seeing his character grow and change. And I'm interested in giving each of your characters things that will really challenge your characters to change. So if I see that you're a character that is just undisciplined and a troublemaker and likes to throw fireballs into a big crowd kind of character, then I'm going to give you forces that are going to force you to be more purpose-driven. And likewise, the opposite. If you're a really staunch paladin, stuck in your ways and something, I'm gonna probably give you challenges that force you to think differently, force you to be more chaotic, and see how you handle those.
And I've noticed in DMing my game is that having the characters express not just their interpretation of the character, but their world that they know really helps the DM develop that story. Does that make sense?
Oh, you mean, Cassandra, you sound real weird.
Oh, he sounds like a elf now.
You gotta.
Martian or something out.
Are you referring to having people post in the forums and describe things in the forums and stuff like that?
Not just the forums, in game. But,
Oh yeah.
For example.
Oh, go ahead.
For example, if well, actually, the doctor and his attempt at securing some armor by getting gold through non-conventional means. you know, that event has changed the whole course of this campaign.
Oh
And
yeah.
it hasn't added monsters or anything like that. It's just added.
Well, actually, it has. I have
Yeah,
stuff
it has,
ready.
right, it has.
It
But it's
has.
added a
There's stuff
really
coming.
neat dynamic.
Yeah, well, a lot of things, some of the best times you have playing D&D is when the players start building the world from what they do. For instance,
Absolutely.
you guys came to Neverwinter. I didn't have anything planned for Neverwinter. I just rolled with it, and now we have a lot of plot development out of Neverwinter itself. The module does not cover Neverwinter. It wasn't supposed to. But since you came to Neverwinter, we have plot developments from Neverwinter. And I'm going to continue with that because we built that sort of together. That's part of telling the story together. Yeah, I'm definitely going to continue to do that. And that's going to be even more relevant when we get into our next adventure because it is so huge. I don't think we're going to go to every single location, but the important things that you develop in one location, it's up to me to kind of reinforce that, have that be part of the story as we move along. So I can't have everything completely prepped because I don't know what you're going to do, and I don't know what I need to change down the road. So I have to leave a lot of things open-ended, which I'm okay with. You know, I think that's great. I would rather do that than sit there having to grind out the entire adventure and the railroad path for you. That's just cumbersome. I'd rather let certain things be open and make them as they come along.
Excellent.
All right. Anything else on your new character, Eldruin?
I think Eldrin will probably play a similar role as Nimbex did with the Doctor, trying to keep him in trouble to keep the game interesting, or to keep life interesting, but out of trouble to not kill our party.
But what do you see your character doing as a mechanical party role with a split class?
Say that again?
What do you see your character doing as in terms of mechanics as a position in the party? I mean, are you looking like are you thinking rogue type spot or a heavy damage dealer spot?
Oh, I'm definitely be stealth. Now that I can see in the dark, I will be up ahead in the party.
Okay, so you're gonna maybe fill in some of the rogue role now that since we don't
absolutely.
have an official rogue.
I can still do the. I'm not particularly, excited about, doing the traps and the thieving tool stuff, but
Yeah.
I can certainly continue to do that.
Well, you seem to be the most qualified. I mean,
Right,
Castanar
right.
too can, but I
Right.
think in terms of sheer mobility, you seem to be the most
Exactly.
qualified.
Yeah. But I don't have. I mean, I can't take a lot of damage like a tank.
Well, no rogue can really. Schmigel's clearly the tank. One thing that the party does not have really is somebody to do good diplomacy, not just troublemaking diplomacy like the Doctor does, but real official kind of. Schmigel, even though he's sort of the unofficial party leader, he's not very skilled in the diplomacy department. So unfortunately, you guys don't have something. A paladin would help. I don't know. It depends on how this. The paladin that. The paladin would be helpful in that kind of a department, but we'll see how things go. And because of that, I think certain kind of diplomacy, certain situations in the game, you're not going to easily get out from talking yourself out of it. You could, you may get very lucky, but it's going to be challenging because you don't have a character that really shines that much. I tried to help Schmigel out a little bit. I give him a cloak. It gives him an advantage on diplomacy checks when he's using the cloak. But that's about it. Okay, anything else on your character?
No, just that I will be fighting at distance with my longbow and mainly quarterstaff and unarmed strikes.
And what is your where are you trying to go with the spells? Or what is your main focus with the spellcasting and the wizard class?
I won't be I won't be building, big, I'm not going to be shooting fireballs. I'm more interested in, first of all, protecting myself because I will be up on the front line. But beyond that, I'd like to cast the grease spell to slip up
Okay.
the
So
big monster.
you're looking at invisibility kinds of things. It's going to help
Absolutely. I
you
have
be.
invisibility next
It's going to be
level.
help you more effective in your mobility and sneaking around.
Correct.
Okay, that makes a lot of
Disguise,
perfect sense.
maybe.
It's hard to understand you because the voice
Also, I have a
altering
familiar.
also adds a lot of echo and reverb, which makes it hard to understand.
I think that was the actual reverb that I was using.
Oh, that's a lot better. That's
Okay,
a
I'll go with that one.
that's a lot better,
I
Chipmunk.
labeled this one as Elvish, kind of.
That's an annoying elf. That's more gnomish to me. It's a very annoying elf, I would think. Okay, do we want to move on, or do you want to anything
Just
else?
also that I want to have a familiar to help me in my stealthy. So maybe.
Well, yes, you can have a familiar. One thing is that I'm not very nice to familiars, just from my experience in the past. So you can have a familiar.
Well, I don't mind if you're not nice to them.
Yeah, you can choose your own familiar. Generally, I won't give you the freebie like I gave the doctor. I gave him a
Yeah,
pseudo
I won't
dragon.
even ask for that.
So
That's
you're
not
gonna
what
have
I'm
to take like a
interested in.
squirrel or something,
Yeah, I'm not
like a
interested in
toad. The reason that I've had bad experience with familiars in the past is a lot of times in the past when I played and I've DM'd, the wizard with a familiar sucks up 15 minutes of time while his familiar explores and gives the party god vision. And then the DM's not paying attention. It's like, oh yeah, okay, familiar goes and doesn't bother trying to kill the familiar, and then the familiar just explores the entire layout of the map and finds all the traps and stuff like that. So as long I'm gonna
Weasel would be the guess that I would make.
yeah I'm gonna subject the familiar to the dangers that are appropriate.
Absolutely.
If the familiar steps on the pressure plate, it's gonna get squashed and stuff.
Absolutely. I'd rather have my
Yeah.
familiar do it than me.
Poor familiar.
Somebody in chat wrote a monk plus mage armor equals tank.
It's a very effective, yes.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not. I don't know if it's gonna hit Schmigel's 22 armor class.
And that with a shield does.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
Go ahead.
Are you gonna talk in that voice?
I can turn it off. I've been playing with it a little bit.
Okay.
I finally got it working, first of all.
It sounds more comical. That's the problem.
I can certainly turn it. I'll work on it.
Yeah,
over the
can we just
course of the next week
we
or
just
so.
turn it down just for this session. We can maybe work with it later. I've been having the same problem with my woman voice. It just doesn't work. I've been trying. Something about a computer just can't do the full flip.
I don't know if this is a decent one there.
That's a little bit better.
That's the built-in female voice for this program.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got it turned off. I'll play with it.
It's like tuning down a piano.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to move on to Castanar?
Sure.
Okay. Castanar, after the events of discovering and taking over the lost mine of Phandelver, as the party celebrated their victory and the entire camp was ablaze with celebration and happiness, you took your opportunity to gently slip away, knowing that you've accomplished a great deed here, and really it's time for you to go back and get back to your forest and your master. Very unceremoniously, you leave and walk off and leave the rest to their celebrations. You make it back to your forest and your master. And your master doesn't talk to you about what has happened in Thunder Tree. He seems to know, but he never really asks you about it or asks you anything about what has happened and what has been revealed to you there. And you go back to your business of tending the forest, but something is just not right. You feel extremely restless. This is a feeling that you've never dealt with before. In the past, you felt very content with your duties. Now you're just feeling like, something's really missing in your life, that you need to do something. There's something more to life. Also, that dagger that Rydolf has given you has really turned into this sort of bizarre obsession for you. You're constantly just looking at it in your pocket to make sure it's still there, that it hasn't dropped somewhere, you haven't lost it. When you go to sleep, you always feel like you got to go and reach and make sure it's still there. It's like you have this unnatural worry that somebody's going to steal that dagger from you. You find yourself staring at the dagger, turning it over and over, admiring it for hours and hours, and it's strange to you, and you know that there's something not right. After the third day, you start having terrible nightmares. You dream that you are on a desolate plain with nothing in sight except dust and the hot sun beating on you. And each time in the dream, you look down at your hands and you can see that your flesh is coming off. Your hands are getting necrotic, falling apart. You can see the bones of your knuckles coming out of your hands, and as you touch yourself, you feel your flesh falling off your body. And you know that you're turning into some undead creature. And every time in this dream, you reach for this knife in your hand, and the minute you touch it, you wake up again in this horrible cold sweat. These things are not natural. These are not any thoughts or dreams you've ever had in your past. And you're considering whether or not this dagger has had some strange effect on you. After the fourth day, you start feeling claustrophobic. For the first time in your life, you feel like you need to get out of this forest. You need to go somewhere. You don't know where. You have to go in some sort of direction, and you have to leave, and you have to travel. You have this wanderlust that starts growing inside of you. And you're not able to sleep that night, and you wake up in your bed, once again in a cold sweat. You check around, and you make sure your dagger's still there, and you take a sigh of relief. And you go outside into the cold air to kind of contemplate things and walk around. And as you walk around, you see your master, Sirocco, sitting on a hill staring at the stars.
I'll quietly approach.
Okay. As you walk up to him, it appears that when you are within 60 feet of him, he already knows you're there. And he says, Castanar, come, sit down, listen.
I will have a seat across from him, sitting cross-legged on the ground.
You sit down next to him, and there's a brief moment of silence. After which you take a look at your master. Now, I'm guessing he's a human, right?
He is a human, yes.
Okay. So you can see that you've spent many decades with him, and you still feel like you're a young man. He looks like he's aging. You see little wisps of gray in his beard. You see that he's starting to get wrinkles in his skin, and he looks like and you realize that this is not the same man that you grew up with. You realize that this is a man that's aging and getting older, and you kind of, so for the first time, you kind of brought to attention what a massive difference it is that this is a human, and you're an elf. You're a different species. You're going to live for thousands of years possibly, and this man is probably not going to live for another 100. And he points to the stars, and he says, Saloon is with us tonight. And he looks like he's tracing one of the constellations. Do you worship? What do you worship? Who's your deity?
I want to say it was Meliki.
Okay. Close enough.
Yeah.
But he says, Saloon is with us tonight. And he says, something troubles you.
Am I that obvious?
Is
Yes.
I have known you since you were a babe. I know the very worry in the sound of your steps. It is extremely hard to play a character with high wisdom.
Yes. Something indeed troubles me.
He says, he says, you know, I know that you may be concerned about what you may have found when you went to Thunder Tree. Tell me, what are your thoughts on that?
For the first time, I wonder how long I will walk these mortal paths.
He says,
It is not something that I have thought of until recently.
he says, you went there looking for an answer. He said, but what you have actually found is a question.
Yes, that is true.
It is so hard to play these wise characters. Let me think, because I'm not really. I gotta really come up with stuff. He says, so do you fear the future?
I sit there and contemplate for a bit. In a way, yes. I suppose the thing I fear most is becoming that which I hate most.
He points at the stars, and he says, and he kind of traces a constellation in the stars. And he says, they say that everyone's path is already laid out before them, before they're even born, before their souls even enter their bodies. He says, if that were true, there is no purpose to existence. And I would not like to believe that. But what I do know is that your time here is coming close to an end. It is time for you to take a pilgrimage.
A pilgrimage.
It says, before I settled into these woods and became its caretaker, I chose to go out into the world. I chose to find myself in the world. Because you can never truly rest until you know yourself and you found yourself. And I don't think you've found yourself. I don't think that you would enjoy waiting here in fear of turning into something you hate.
That is true. But I'm not sure that going out and wandering without purpose would allay any fears that I have.
It says, purpose is something that can be given to you if you ask it, if you seek it. All with faith have purpose. Only the faithless have no purpose in life. And then Sorako says, I believe that you're going to leave soon. I believe that you are going to see the world. I believe that you're going to go into the world, and somewhere in the world you will find yourself. And once you find yourself, I believe that you will come back here, and I believe that you will live out your days in complete peace. And he gets up and turns to you with a kind of a sad look, and he says, I'm afraid what I just said is not in your stars, and he points to a constellation in the sky. But I choose to believe this anyway. And he says, on your bed I've left you some purpose. And he just continues to sit down, and he's quiet from then on, staring at the stars.
You believe that what is before me is other than what is in the stars?
What he said was that he said that he believes that you will live. What he essentially said is that he believes that you will go out, find some adventures, discover yourself, and then live a very happy life in peace. The rest of your life in this forest. He says, however, this is not in your stars. And he points somewhere to a constellation in the sky. And he remains mysterious about it, and he sits down and stares into the sky.
You have given me much to ponder, Master Sirocco. I do not know that I should like to leave for a period of time these beloved woods.
He says, do not worry of these woods, for even if I perish, even if you perish, these woods will be here for eternity. This I know. This is the comfort that will guide you in the darkest hour. This earth that has made you will continue, no matter how bad things can be, no matter what you can become, no matter what evil shall overcome you. One day you will return to this ground, as will I.
I just fear that that day approaches quickly, possibly for both of us.
It is not for us to know.
I, Selune and Beliki, have that knowledge in them alone. I shall take peace in that, at least.
Sirocco stares into the stars and smiles warmly at the stars. As you, as you return to your room. On your room is a cloth. When you return to your room, there's a cloth. There's an object wrapped in a cloth on your bed.
I'm gonna just sit there and I'll stare at it for probably a full 15 minutes or so before I approach and unwrap it.
You slowly unwrap the object, and you see that with one layer at a time. As you unwrap the cloth, you see that it's shiny and it's gold, and you open it up, and it's a Harper pin. It is the same Harper pin that somebody just gave the doctor for unclear reasons.
I lift it up reverently, knowing what it is.
You know that your master, of course, also has his Harper pin. He rarely actually displays it to anyone. You know what it looks like. You can see that this is a freshly minted Harper pin. Probably specifically made for you.
I said I'll stare reverently at it, debating, and then after a long period of thought and meditation, I'll pin it to my cloak.
So the rest of the evening...
Displayed openly.
So you spend the rest of the evening in sort of contemplation and worries of the future. You barely get any sleep that evening. In the morning, after you wake up, you realize that your master has disappeared. He is not in his room. He is not in his normal, the normal areas that he goes to in the woods. You see no trace of him. And this brings you just a lot of sort of fear and sadness as you realize that he is nowhere to be found. This first time he has just blatantly disappeared. You see no signs of him possibly being kidnapped or something magical or bad having happened to him. It appears he has disappeared without a trace. You know he's capable of doing this, but you don't understand why.
I spend a day just roaming, trying to get an impression, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction that he stated that I would find
You are
in
just
Wanderlust.
you are just racked with utter confusion and disappointment and fear. Do you feel that you're alone? You don't feel, right? Your master has disappeared. Rydolph is transformed into a tree, and you just can't bear to even go back to that place anymore. You have no direction. You don't know anybody else. Unfortunately, there's only one other Harper that you know. And you're not even sure he's a Harper.
Two, technically, I guess.
Yes, two, technically. You realize that
Because
you have
She obviously was a Harper.
you realize that you have nowhere else to go. So the only place that you can reasonably go, unless you want to wander off into the sunset with never really achieving any purpose, the only thing you can think of to do is to go find that party again and see if there's anything that could be meaningful to be done from that end. They're the only people who really accepted you and have traveled with you for that long of a period of time. Although you're still not sure how you feel about them.
Now, they have accomplished at least one noble act.
Yeah, and you can clearly tell that their intentions are at least good. What their means may be of suspect, but their intentions seem to be good. You know where they are.
Yeah, with that
so,
in mind, I will head west.
So knowing where they are, you spend about a day or so to making your way to the city of Neverwinter. And as you get to the city of Neverwinter, once again, this is a terrible place. So noisy, with people walking all over the place, yelling. There's hardly any nature, anything natural in sight. As you walk into the crowded streets, keeping the cloak over your head uncomfortably, you ask around a couple of people on where Schmigel Ironbelly is staying, and they do point you to the Black Lake District. You make your way over to Schmigel's house. You open the door, and you see the doctor hiding under a table. Shh. They're out there. Shh.
Hey, what is it?
You look around.
Around.
You look
What's
around.
out there?
Schmigel, you're not there yet. So you look around the antechamber of Gundren Rockseeker's house, and you see that on a side table there appears to be a scroll case with and the scroll case has a note on it addressed to Sir Schmigel Ironbelly on it. Okay, well, that's the end of that's the end. We'll end there. Let's just quickly tell me about your character. So.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, really not making any changes. I'm happy with the way he's developing.
Okay. So
Obviously,
you
Ranger.
are a hunter ranger, correct?
Hunter,
Elf
yeah.
hunter ranger. Let me see. Let's just quickly review your stats.
And I opted for a feat rather than a stat attribute change.
Okay.
At 4th level.
What kind of spells do you have?
I've got just the couple 1st level spells, I think, in cantrips, a Hail of Thorns, Hunter's Mark, and one thing I'll note, I was using the Hunter's Mark a little bit incorrectly, I think. After reading it for.
Oh, could you turn down the voice? It's hard to hear.
I didn't realize it was still running. How's that?
Yeah, much better.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize it was still running. I was using Hunter's Mark just a little bit incorrectly, I think. I was thinking it as ability. It was actually a spell. So I won't have that as often as I used. I don't think I overused it, but I'm sure that at least in that final battle, for some reason I was thinking it ability and not a
Honestly,
spell.
I didn't even notice you were using it more than you're supposed to.
Yeah, it is a spell, so I have to not a cantrip. It's a 1st level spell, so I have to.
Another thing we do have to go over is that the party has found some equipment, and you got to decide if anybody wants this equipment. There's nothing for the doctor. There's some things that obviously belong to the doctor, so I'm not going to address it. Like the staff of defense, spider staff, and actually wand of missiles. If John, your new character wants that, you can take that. That's useful. You can use it. Is he here?
So here.
You blinked out.
Yeah,
I didn't
okay,
hear
there
what
you
you said.
So up for grabs is Ring of Protection, Wand of Missiles, Gauntlets of Ogre Power. Now that's I should not have let you have that, but
What's that give a plus?
it sets your strength to a flat 19.
18. Oh, 19? Okay.
Yeah. So that I think will be highly useful if you guys can just post if you want to grab these items
That
and
would
use
really
them.
change my 10 strength.
That would literally rebuild your character.
Yeah.
Of course, Kastner, I know your character has picked up the +1 sword called Talon.
Yep.
There is another weapon. I don't know if you'd be interested. It's called Lathander's Glow. You found this in the last dungeon.
Yeah, that was a mace, I think.
This is a mace that does extra damage to undead.
Ooh. Well, if we knew that it did extra damage to undead,
You didn't know before, but after the doctor was able to identify it, you realized that this is a very powerful mace. The wielder can command it to glow by calling upon Lathander, and this can be done unlimited times. While glowing, the mace sheds a 15-foot bright light and does an additional 1d6 damage to all undead creatures.
I would definitely.
This is a
give up
Monty
Skull
Hall treasure trove right here.
I would definitely give up Skull Splitter for the mace.
Oh, you renamed
Or
Talon
Talon.
Skull Splitter.
Talon.
All right. There's also a +1 breastplate. It's a medium armor, I think. I don't know
Yes,
if
it is a
anybody is
medium armor.
interested in that. I know it's the AC is actually lower than Schmiggel's plate mail. I don't think he'd be interested. But the benefit of this armor is that you get resistance against dragon breath weapons.
Ooh, nice. Not that I hope that we meet any dragons.
Yeah.
But
So the AC of it is like anywhere from 14 to 17, depending on your dex. And advantage against breath weapon saves from dragons.
that's not bad. It would certainly be better than the base studded leather that I'm using, but I'm not sure. Well, it wouldn't help Schmiegel other than the magic property.
No, it would drop Schmiggel's AC significantly.
Yeah.
I don't think he would want that. I think you're the only other person who can equip it. The doctor certainly can equip it.
I would certainly.
I think that John's character is a monk, so he should not use
Probably
any.
doesn't want it. Yeah.
No, he can't. If he uses armor, I think that's a big disadvantage.
Yeah,
on
he
him.
loses some of his abilities. I
Yeah.
believe.
I will not be using armor.
So yeah, I had been using that ring of protection. I'd certainly change that for the armor, and it would improve my armor class a little.
There's no reason why you can't use both, but the ring of
Yeah, but-
protection.
but the ring could be used by the mage or the monk.
Okay, I didn't want to completely distribute because we got a new person coming in, so they may, you may want to give something to the new person
Yep.
too.
Yep.
And Gauntlets of Ogre Power, I guess, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Schmiegel or
Schmiegel doesn't need
would
it.
Probably be
Schmiegel doesn't need it. Because it sets your.
useful for that. More useful for them since I'm not as. I mean, yeah, I do melee, but not.
It would be, I think, the most useful for the monk.
I take it you couldn't
It
hear me?
would certainly be the most.
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
I think, in my opinion, it would be you get the most bang for the buck if your character equipped it, the Gauntlets of Ogre Power.
Eldrin?
Yes,
Yeah, that seems to make sense.
I mean compared to everybody else equipping it, it would
'Cause I will be on the front line.
exactly. If you swing swords and things like that, if you swing a long sword, it'd be the most beneficial to you. Okay. And anything else about your character? I mean, I think I have a very good sense of who your character is, and I know what I'm going to be doing with, the things that are going to be coming up that are relevant to your character. I have lots of stuff planned out.
The only thing to note is I had the archery fighting style. The feat that I took was the sharpshooter feat, which is going to be very useful, I think. No disadvantage for long range shots, and enemies don't get benefit from half or three quarters.
So, what is your 2 attack for your ranged weapon at this point?
My
Your
plus,
attack.
plus 5.
Okay, and how many attacks are you making a turn?
Just the one, unless I have 2 opponents within 5 feet.
Then you use Horde Breaker.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got a when you hit level 5, you're going to be a turret.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that extra
Okay.
attack.
Good to know.
I could theoretically hit 4 different
Yeah.
opponents if 2 each are within 10 feet.
Yeah. All right. I have a strong idea of your character. Anything else you want to say?
No, like I said, I'm happy with the way that he's developing, so I'm not making any changes, no attribute changes or anything.
Okay. Oh, by the way, John or Galen, at this point, if you guys have something to do, you got to go. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to finish up. I got one. We got one more.
And I'm fine. I'll stick around. The one thing I might do, and I need to take a look, and I probably won't, but the one thing I might do is make a minor change to my spell list.
I think that'll be completely fine. Whatever your character you submit or you go with now, we won't change from now on, but you can change it right now if you need to.
Okay.
And I'm completely fine with that. Because of the whole reasoning is that when we started off, half the characters were pre-generated. I don't think it's fair to make you play a character that's pre-generated.
And of course, I actually created mine, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
as happy as I am with it. So,
I know the Doctor has changed his characters at least like 5 times from when he started.
the one thing I don't like about that armor, actually taking a look at it, you said it was scale.
It is breastplate.
Oh, breastplate. Okay, so I don't have a disadvantage on stealth. I was looking.
There's no big disadvantage from my point of view of you wearing it.
Yeah, I lose 1 dex bonus, no big deal. Because max dex is +2 for breastplate.
Well, no, the max dex is your AC. It does not mean that your dex modifier can't go beyond. Yeah.
So drops by 1.
Oh, if your AC drops, you think about whether it's worth it to get that Dragon Breath ability.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to actually drop my AC because it's actually it's a +1 first of all. You said, right? The plate itself is +1.
Yeah.
And I'm only wearing studded leather, so it starts out.
The maximum AC on that breastplate, assuming you have high dex, is 17.
Oh, it is? Okay.
So it may actually raise your AC to 17, which is not bad for a ranger at all. That puts you right up in the front lines if you need to be.
Base AC is 14, magic bonus of 1. Total AC, now this is without the ring. My total AC would be... That's not right. Oh, I must have 2 armors equipped on the sheet. 32. Yeah.
Don't worry about the sheet. The sheet does weird stuff, but you know what your AC is.
AC is 17, which is good.
Yeah, I mean 17 is a phenomenal AC for a ranger, because you can, if you need to, you can weather some attacks in the front line. If Schmigel goes down.
And if I switch to the mace, I might actually pick up a shield as well.
You could do that.
I prefer to use the longsword two-handed, but I wouldn't use the mace that way. So
I'm not sure the mace is able to be used that way. It has to say versatile.
No, it can't be used that way, but it's just a matter of whether or not I would just keep a free hand or equip a shield, which I have not
You can hit with the sword and the mace and dual wield if you really want.
Yeah, and that's an option later, but not for now. Okay, so for the time being, I'll go ahead and accept the armor, and put the ring of protection back into the pool for somebody who might make better use of it. Take
Yeah.
the mace, and the sword back in, and if nobody uses the sword, the paladin might be the one to pick that up too.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't know who they're gonna do. All right. Are we? Are you anything else for your character?
Nope.
Can we move on to Schmigel? I got some stuff for you.
What?
Okay. Okay. Let's rewind all the way back to as you guys have driven off Venom Fang, your sworn enemy at this point. Given that you put a big scar across his head, he has sworn to destroy you, but he has been driven off by heavy siege equipment brought on by Lord Nox. And you rejoice as you have conquered the lost mine of Phandelver. Gundren is told of this, and he is excited about this. So Gundren is now working busily to rebuild the lost mine of Phandelver and get it into working condition. Gundren tells you that it's going to be at least a year before he can get this mine into a fully productional working condition. But once he does, he is going to be filthy rich, and you deserve a portion of the profits, of course, for being instrumental in achieving accepting this mine.
Hey, I owe it all to my friends.
Gundren is just extremely happy. He actually, given that even though his legs were broken, he actually limped on one leg over to the mine. He was so excited. Haas is there with him, being that Haas is actually his cousin. And they're getting the mine in order. Now that they're working on the mine, Sergeant Lord Nox has told you that you've accepted the position in the Lord's Alliance. You are a minor lord, Sir Schmigel, and you have duties now. You will be given an estate and wealth befitting a lord. But it is your duty now to sit in the Council of the Lord's Alliance. So you guys go back to Neverwinter, and all the real estate in Black Lake has been taken up already. So they have not been able to yet procure you your own residence. But Gundren, of course, happily lets you stay at his place. And you have since made that place your home, living there and housing the doctor, given that he is one of the most wanted elves in town. They know not to come approach you directly to try to look for them. They wouldn't do that. But every time he leaves, there's people following him that come out of the woodwork. You've tried to appeal for him, but it hasn't been working very well, despite your position. For the last week or so, you have attempted to carry out your duties as a lord. Unfortunately, it's been tough. This is what you've been doing. Every morning at sunrise, you wake up, you go down to the Protector's Enclave. This is in the House of Justice, Hall of Justice, where all the lords meet and convene. And every time you show up, it's just a cacophony of people yelling and screaming. Nobody can agree on anything. Everybody's political. You can tell that everybody's just trying to backstab everybody else. You've been trying your best to make your voice heard in terms of having more rights for dwarves, and in terms of appropriating the ownership of the mine of Phandelver to the dwarves, because it is a dwarven mine. You have a lot of enemies in court. They don't even like the fact that you are a dwarf and you are allowed in the noble's court. Unfortunately, you're not able to talk your way. You're not very good with your ability to be diplomatic. So it looks like you're not very successful in court, and these lords are actually petitioning to completely take over the Phandelver mine and claim it for Neverwinter. Lord Knox, as he promised you, has stopped this from happening for now, but he tells you that if these lords get enough power, they may actually be able to pass that motion. And it's been a tough fight. So after 3 or 4 days, Schmigel, you are more exhausted than you were when you fought the dragon.
My head. I've never woken up this early since I was a wee lad. After my mind.
And then after a morning of squabbles, where you can barely understand who's on whose side, Lord Knox, you guys take a break for a while, and you go to the local bar. And Lord Knox comes down and sits next to you. You're kind of sitting alone. You really have no friends in court. You're the only dwarf. Everybody else is human or elven. And Lord Knox comes and sits down next to you. And he says, "This place, this is not you, is it, Sir Ironbelly?"
It's hard to say. Only been here for half a week now. I'm giving my headache.
But you appear to have aged at least 30 years in Dwarven, having been here. He says, "No, you, Sir Ironbelly, you're a warrior. You need to be out there fighting monsters, fighting dragons, not in here rotting with these pilfering sycophants. Oh. But let me tell you something, Sir Ironbelly. I'm worried. I'm old, Sir Ironbelly. I am a good 80 years old, and no matter how much I pray to Torm, Torm will take me soon. I'm going to die one day. And I am afraid of what will happen to this great city when I die. How can you see these lords? All they care about is their profit, fighting left and right over minor squabbles and family feuds. Are they prepared for what is to come? They know there are dragons flying in the skies, and they still squabble over gold. And he just looks kind of defeated.
You know, my grandfather always had an old saying. He said, "You can never pick up gold, no matter how, if it's been put hot in the forge. No matter how hard you try."
Lord Knox says, I'll drink to that. He says, "Sir Ironbelly, why don't you take some time off? Why don't get your estate in order? You are nobility now, and you must learn how to be nobility. It is a harder job than you think." He says, "One day, perhaps you can retire into the countryside, govern a small piece of land, perhaps even run a mine. But right now, the times are tough, and people of true bravery and honor are required." He says, "But I can see this has taken a serious toll on you. Sir Ironbelly, as long as I am head seat in the Lord's Alliance, I promise you, those pilfering nobles will not have the Phandelver mine. You need to take some rest. Take a month off, and come back to me when you are ready and you are more refreshed."
I ain't altering to that.
He says, there's much to learn in governing a house. He says, "I have taken to liberty to assign you a retainer. He is also of Dwarven descent. However, you may not recognize him as such when you see him, but I've sent him to your house. He will teach you everything you need to know on how to carry forth such a title.
You're never too young, never too old to learn something.
And then he says, Sir Ironbelly, why don't you go home and rest? Leave the courts to me. I still have some fight in these bones. Says, to think I called down the wrath of Torm to singe that demon who ripped apart Neverwinter during the wailing death, and alas, to be killed by some squabbling nobles.
I just remember that. They can't pick up gold if it's too hot to carry.
I'll drink to that again. And he slams his goblet on the table, and he goes back to the court, giving you leave to go home and kind of figure things out.
I do myself. The Dwarven community hasn't had a big change in a long while.
You know that the Dwarven community living in Neverwinter has been disenfranchised for a long time. And this is really because the dwarves have had no official representation in court. The court is full of humans and half-elves. So the dwarves are in Neverwinter are paying very high taxes. They are having a tough time just maintaining their own businesses, and they are not getting the compensation that they deserve for the work that they do. And you know this. This is commonly known. Although you gave it a very hard shot, you realize that this is harder than you thought to be able to turn the court. This is not within your realm of expertise. But this is something that you possibly could learn down the road.
I'll give it the night to think.
Okay.
Head and bones out of the way. Who knows? This new Rheinlavars might prove some use and teach me a few tricks. Well, off to a good night rest.
So you leave the Hall of Justice, walking through the Protector's Enclave, and you still can't shake the feeling that people are looking at you funny. They're just blatantly prejudiced that a dwarf is wearing a noble's attire. But you shake it off, and you continue on your way home. You get to the gates of your house, and you notice that there is a dwarf standing right there. This dwarf is dressed like a dwarf you have never seen in your life. He is wearing a fancy, a very ornate robe with like leaves entwined in leaves and golden trim and everything like that. His beard is trimmed and braided in a very fancy pattern and wrapped like around his back. He is smelling of perfume and oils, which you have never seen a dwarf do. And he says, Sir Schmigel Ironbelly, I presume. And he does this kind of lordly bow that you have never seen a dwarf do, and you didn't even think a dwarf was capable of.
Schmigel stops for a moment. He's only seen this once ever before, and he comes up to the other dwarf and gives him a hug and he says, I am so sorry for your loss. And just tell me who passed, and I can.
The other dwarf he reels away from being hugged. He's like, my lord, no. Like he's big. He doesn't seem like he's comfortable with hugging. And he says, my name is Zaz, my lord. I am assigned to your house, the newly made House of Ironbelly, as your retainer. I shall be your advisor in all things, both involving combat strategy, attire, presentation, and the like. He says, allow me to carry out my first duty by opening these gates for you, my lord.
Thank you. It's never had someone open the gates for me, huh?
And he opens the gates and he bows politely.
Thank you.
You kind of give him a weird eye. You haven't seen a dwarf act in this way before.
Schmigel acts kind of cautious and a little spooked out.
Yeah, so he quickly rushes in front of you and then opens the front door of your house. And
Thank you.
as you walk through the door, he announces you. He says, "The Lord of the house, Sir Schmigel Ironbelly, enters."
I don't think anybody's home.
He says, "My lord, there are two people. There are two callers here to see you, sir."
I can guess one of them. Don't. I can stop you right there. I can guess one of them. Well, who's the other?
I believe it is. I believe it is Castanar, Elias, from the forest.
Castanar's here.
Hi, old friend.
Castanar!
So Schmigel, you rush in to greet Castanar, and you don't notice that there is a scroll case adjacent to the door on a table as you run in to greet your friend.
Castanar! Hey, where have you been, old friend?
Oh, Schmiegel, it is good to see you.
Hey.
I had to return home. Alas, what I found there was not completely what I expected. I'm hoping that what I now seek might be found here in your company.
Aye, that'll give you the ticket. Something a little away from the whole woodsy forest thing. A little time in the town ain't bad for you. You know that. Anyways, what do you have?
So the next thing is Eldruin. You have been coming around to visit as well, and it appears to be quite a reunion as you walk through the doors and seeing some of your old friends.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, you also come by to visit Schmigel after the events.
Hey, it's a first-class reunion.
Yes, it's good to be back together.
Hi,
Hey, come in. I'll get the.
there is one
Oh,
other
right.
here too.
The doctor is he's cowering under a desk and just going, "Shh, they're gonna hear you. They're out there."
I haven't been able to figure out what he's hiding or who he's hiding from.
Oh, I think it has something to do with armor.
Armor? He's hiding from armor?
No,
Yeah, he is.
the way he obtained the armor.
Meanwhile, Schmigel's in the kitchen boiling up some water to get the tea going.
And then
This lady with the pie.
Zas comes up to you, Schmigel, and he says, "My lord, do you wish to discuss any specific means and strategies to in becoming nobility, or should we save this for another day?"
I think for another day. It's just too good of a day. This is much too good of a reunion to be wasted.
Well, I would, if it please you, my lord, I do need to at least interject something. I must, and forgive my offense. But my lord,
Don't worry about
it is very unlordlike to have guests crawling under the tables. and Zaz just gives a nasty look to the doctor and walks off.
Don't worry, Doctor is very unlordlike himself.
Oh, by the way, before you head out, can you pass me the mail that went in?
Zaz says, "Oh, yes, this came for you today, my lord." And he takes the scroll case and he hands it to you, Schmigel.
Perfect.
So, Schmigel, let's first go over your character. Are you making any changes?
The only change I really made to the character was, see if I can get it out again. It's like a secondary thing to fighter class. Right, here we go. It's like a secondary thing to the Battle Master archetype.
Okay.
Is that you can have you start off with 3 maneuvers. I changed one of them.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So you are fighter battle master. You have those battle master maneuvers. You are totally tanked out with an armor class of 22 if you have your shield on, correct?
Yeah.
I have a good idea of who your player and your character is, and I have good plans for your player and your character, as you shall find out very soon. Anything you want to add about your character specifically? I think we all have a pretty good idea who your character is.
I pretty much. He's the dwarf fighter.
He's the dwarf fighter, tanked out.
What
And
maneuvers do you have?
What?
What maneuvers do you
I know you have a sweeping strike that you use.
Sweeping strike is a big one. The pushing one, and the one that I changed was the I used to have a command one, and I changed that one for a riposte.
Ah.
So I knew a lot of our characters don't use melee weapons; they use mostly spells.
Schmegel, you'll notice that in 5th edition, an armor class of 22 is pretty much the highest you possibly can have before you hit like level 12. Okay, so you are tanked out to the max. You're not going to be, unless you get magical stuff, you're not going to be able to raise your armor class anymore. And even with a 22, there's still like a small, like I would say maybe 10% chance that enemies can hit you. But this is the whole idea with 5th edition, is that you hit more often and enemies hit you more often. But statistically, you're not going to get hit much. But you can't expect to get an armor class, like I remember in 3rd edition, you get an armor class of 54 and you physically cannot be hit.
Yeah.
It won't be like that, but you will definitely be totally tanked when you play your character. Anything else relevant to your character? So you're equipped with the boots of striding and springing that gives you a 30-foot walking distance.
Yeah, I had the armor that we spent so much money on.
Yes, it is It's a piece of dwarven plate mail, and it has not failed you so far. You survived the Lost Mines of Phandelver, and it still barely has a kink on it.
Yeah. Strongest armor he's ever seen. And my 2 weapons so far have been the Orc Splitter and Hugh.
Okay, you mainly do an axe and a shield, but sometimes I see you drop your shield and go 2 axes when you really want to maraud or something.
And I've actually used the Ring of Protection quite a few times.
If you get the Ring of Protection, your armor class will be 23. Almost unheard of in level 4, but it's legit if you want to do that.
And like I said, I gave it up for the
Yeah.
the armor, so it's out there.
If you want to do that, I guess when we get our new player, we'll find out. But if you do that, your armor class is going to be 23, and that's really pretty high.
Yeah.
For example, let me see how much an ancient dragon is, just to compare. I think you may beat out most dragons here with your armor class. But I mean, it's legit because you give up a lot of damage dealing potential to raise the armor class that high. You could have had I think you could have had 2 weapon fighting style, a great weapon, stuff like that. Why can't I find dragon? It's under D. I just want to do a quick
There's a lot
comparison.
under D, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I just want to do a quick comparison. A Pit Fiend has an armor class of 19. You're more tanked out than a Pit Fiend. Let's see. An Ancient Black Dragon has an armor class of 22. Okay, so you know how... So this is how armored you are in relative comparison. Anything else for your character? Or are you ready to open up that scroll?
I'm not sure what else there is to say about Schmigel.
This scroll opens up the adventure.
Yes, it does. So I think we better get on it then.
Okay. Schmigel, you open up this. It's a leather skull case, very finely made. Looks to be like maybe sheep leather or something like that. And you open up the scroll case, and the first thing that falls out of the scroll case hits your hands, And the minute it hits your hands, you are almost in tears, because this is something that you know, this whatever the object that hits your hands is something that you know very well. As a young dwarf, every young dwarf, as a rite of passage, they are asked to hit the forge, respect their ancestors, and make something. Whatever it is, you make something. So as a young dwarf, you went to the forge, and you went hammering, and you're not really sure what to make. You don't really know what you want in life, and you just kept hammering and hammering, and first you made like a sword. You're like, no, I don't want a sword, and you kept hammering, and then you made you thought you'd maybe make an arrowhead or something, but you're like, no, I don't want. What do I really want in life? And then at some point you decide you finish hammering, and what you get was a pendant of a butterfly, and you have no idea why you hammered that. But that was what you made. The first thing that you made as a young dwarf was a small head pendant of a butterfly. You attached it to a chain, and you really didn't know what to do with it, but you kept it with you. It has a great sentimental value, and you recall that you gave this pendant of a butterfly to a woman that you were involved with by the name of Cyrilla, who died. And this is what hits you really hard.
Schmigel is just stunned looking at this.
And then also out of the scroll case comes a letter. Rolled up and tied with a string.
Schmigel's slowly gonna close his hand and start reading the scroll.
Okay. The scroll says this. It says, Ironbelly, I think you would want this back, for I cannot accept it. My death is avenged. My new life spans out before me endlessly like the trackless sea. Do not try to find me, for upon that path you will only find death. It is because of my mistress that I live, and I serve my mistress now, willfully, wholly, and with every inch of my soul. I have no room for any other. I would ask only that you remember me for what I was, and know that what you remember has died. We will not meet again. Signed, C. An interesting thing about this letter is that there is a black gem that is fixed to the top of the letter, as you can see. The letter itself is created out of an animal skin, not paper.
Schmigel rolls back up the scroll. Very carefully, not trying to tear it.
Castanar, are you looking at Schmigel as he's reading this letter?
Yes.
You look at the letter, you don't know what it says. You look at that gem on the letter, and you just have this sudden realization. Whatever that gem is made out of is what your dagger is made out of.
Obsidian?
It looks like obsidian, but it's not. It's something else. And you have no idea what it is.
I pull out the dagger and examine it. And obviously,
If you've stared at this thing for hours and hours and you can't figure out what type of material it is, and you realize that that gem is the exact same material as your dagger.
Interesting.
You get this
That's
feeling
something
that
myself.
you get this deep feeling that fate has really brought you back here to figure this out.
Schmigel puts the
Possible
pen.
purpose.
Schmigel puts the pendant in his pocket. He takes the kettle off the burning fire. Careful not to just lash out. I'll be out in the back for a moment. Castanar, could you pour the kettle? Like, take care of something.
I shall take care of it. Kind of watching as Smeagol kind of stumbles out the back and take care of pouring the drinks for those around. Wonder what that was. He looks a bit upset.
He certainly looks more upset than you've ever seen him. And I think we'll end it there for today.
Okay. I'll let you all help me